What's up, weebs? Inokai Jack here, also known as Local Piece of Shit, and today we're talking about 5 wholesome manga that'll make your 2021 less lonely. Because we all know we had a lonely Christmas. So today we're going to be looking at these 5 wholesome manga through 6 criteria. 1, the story obviously. 2, the pacing of the story. 3, the humor and how it's executed. 4, the characters, because you already know you can't have a wholesome manga without wholesome ass characters. 5th, we have the art style, because gotta see how the artist draws the blush. That's the most important part. And lastly, whether or not I'd recommend this to you, and we're going to be looking at that through what type of reader you are. So yeah, let's get right into it. So the first manga we're talking about is Ojii-san to Obaa-san ga Wakigaetta Hanashi, also known as a story of a grandpa and grandma who return back to their youth. God damn, the grandma's the best waifu, don't even fuck with me. Top tier, grandma. Fuck MILFs, fuck lollies, fuck high school girls. Grandma, top ass tier right there. So let's look at this from my criteria standpoint. The story is, I would say, to be one of the higher tier ones of this list. It has a very, it can be mature at times and also immature at times, if you catch my drift. Every chapter encounters a sort of adult grippy type of emotion that these two grandparents feel that they couldn't experience in their past life. Which is why the story actually makes so much more sense when I say it that way. So the gist of the story is 2 grandparents they're very old, and suddenly they turn back into their younger days and they try and live out their youth that they couldn't once live. Because from the beginning, they've already said that they're poor and they've been working so hard for their entire lives and they've never had the chance to really experience that youth they always wanted to. This story shows them exploring that youth from a teenager's body with a elder's mind. It's very wholesome. It's very cute, realistic, and the emotion they both feel is very, how do I put this? It's very real and it's quite innocent in a way that they've experienced so much, yet everything seems so new to them. And I think you'll really enjoy reading this because, damn, fucking grandma blushing. Just go read it. And the humor here is also pretty goddamn funny. In most anime, they change one small thing about the title, and that's what the entire manga revolves around. And honestly, this is no different. It does take elements from the title and turn that into comedy, but it's also very funny seeing the grandpa's family members falling in love with him because he's so fucking handsome. The art style is very unique. It manages to capture emotion very well. And it's not very messy. Lines are very clean, and I think characters are very distinguishable from each other, and their reactions are so damn cute, so who cares? I would recommend you watch this if you're sort of looking for something to pass the time with. Give it 5 chapters. If it's not for you, then you can drop it. But if it is, then you can keep reading. I think there's around like 50-something chapters now. The second manga we're talking about is... oh my god, this title is so long. Ponkotsu Fuukiin to Skaato ga Futekisetsu no Jeiken Hanashi. And it means story of a useless prefect and a high school girl with an inappropriate skirt length. With a title like that, you would expect something along the lines of strict boy meets lanky girl, and a comedy-esque type of episodic manga that you can just lightheartedly read. But that's not true. I would say this manga has probably one of the strongest plots out of the rest of the 5 manga I'm going to be talking about, since it actually gives the characters room for progression, and it does so in a very short amount of time. Right now it has 24 chapters, and in that 24 chapters, the characters manage to break out their archetypes like halfway through the story. I think at around like 10 chapters in, you realize that the characters are slowly forming their own identities instead of just living up to that archetype that they're being given. The art is really cute. The design of the characters is amazing. There's more characters being introduced, like, all throughout the story. Like, it's amazing. This series doesn't just focus on, okay, so these two are going to be like this and they're going to go like that. It's more like they've been given that archetype, and the entire story is room for them to grow instead of just staying within that little barrier of their character design or something. And I think that's really nice, and I think some readers would definitely enjoy that. But some readers who just want to see blushing episode by episode kind of shit, then yeah, this probably isn't for you. But honestly, if you are looking for something with more plot heavy content, I would recommend this. There's really nothing much to say about it. It's a very solid story. Not the best, but it's a very solid story. You're definitely going to find something out of it. The third manga we're talking about is Kaette kudasai, Akutsu-san, and it translates to Please Go Home, Akutsu-san. This manga is complicated. I can't tell whether it's good just because I'm reading this as a guilty pleasure, or is it shit? Because it really is. So let's look at this from our criterias. The story is, I would like to say it exists, at least to some extent, but for the majority of it, it's a purely character comedy. And it's non-existent. You're watching this for the interactions of the two characters, so if you're looking for something that has more plot-heavy development, then not for you. Sorry. The pacing of the story is unbelievably slow, if I'm being honest. 58 chapters and almost close to zero progression in the story, if I'm being completely honest here. The characters are not really, like, they're interacting, but they're also not helping each other progress as characters. They're sort of just bantering over and over again. I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's certainly, it's charming to some extent. I like reading that. And yeah, it's funny. It's funny. The girl is cute as fuck. The humor is also, it's great, honestly. If you like seeing cute girls blush, this is for you. Like, don't even bother watching the rest of this review. If you like cute girls, just go read it. The characters, I'm gonna be honest here. I really fucking hate the main character. The guy main character, the girl is okay. The guy main character is almost unbearably annoying. He's kind of one of those just, he's not dense, but he's a fucking pussy. Like, yeah, that's it. Like, if you're a pussy, I hate you. So I hate myself. Fuck. The art is okay. Yeah, it's really just okay. Nothing really noteworthy, but the way Akutsu-san is drawn is very cute. So, yeah. The fourth manga we're talking about is Soredemo, Ayumu wa Yosetekuru. And it means, even so, Ayumu draws closer to the endgame. Shogi fucking reference. Or it could also be called Shogi-senpai. The story of this manga is very similar to Akutsu-san's. The overarching story isn't too drastic, and it's a very lighthearted read. So, good for you lighthearted readers. The pacing is very, well, I've said this already, it's quite slow, but the character development is worth watching, because we know that the main character's intent from the start is very explicit. He wants a senpai, okay? He wants the shogi-senpai. God, so do I. But because his intent is very explicit at the start, it gives us the anticipation until that moment arrives. Unlike Akutsu-san, where it's just whatever the fuck happens, okay? But because there's clear intent in shogi-senpai, the anticipation leads the audience to hang on to the manga a lot closer than, for example, Akutsu-san would, because we're anticipating, okay? I want to see this dude, this Chad of guy, fucking get his girl. So moving on to humor, it's not very dialogue heavy. I mean, most of it's just the reactions of the shogi-senpai going like, to every time the main character fucking confesses his love to her. Generally, it's like very it slaps the stick, okay? It slaps the stick right. It's not too forced. It's quite natural, actually. I mean, who wouldn't go, The characters they're alright, to be honest. They're not too shallow. Definitely not shallow. Their consciousness is there. There isn't really much there is to show, aside from the fact that they're really cute together. Yeah, not enough characters are really introduced to really give us that push towards the character development, and I think as the manga goes on, that'll build up, but at the moment, they're still quite shallow, and I can only see them as characters, not people. The art is, honestly, I would say one of the best out of this bunch, because Takagi-san, fucking artist type art. You already know what you're expecting. You're getting that big ass forehead, big eyes, small body. You have that type of art style, and it's very cute, honestly. I would honestly recommend this to you if you enjoy shorter manga and more like straightforward, not too heavy dialogue, you don't have to read bajillions of lines. And if you like shogi, honestly, this is awesome. You would enjoy this. If you enjoy shogi, you would probably enjoy this. I would say give it at least, just read the first chapter. Read the first chapter and see if you like it. I think if you like your moe shit, you would definitely love this. The final manga I'll be recommending today is Pseudo Harem. And I would say this is one of my favorite manga out of this list, as well as one of my favorite manga of all time. It's got quite a niche charm to it that I think quite a lot of people enjoy, and that is the expression and art of this character. Specifically, I'm talking about Rin-chan, who is the main heroine of the story, but we'll get into that later. Looking at the story overall, it's not something like crazy. It's not battleship, star battle, ass and tit type of story. It's more like I don't want to say the W word again, but it's soft core romance comic with elements of growth and maturity. The pacing of the story is great. Right now it has around 120 chapters. It's still ongoing, but the satisfaction when you read from chapter 0 to chapter 120 is quite satisfying, honestly, to say the least. You'll really enjoy the growth that these two characters have taken, as well as the type of risks and interactions they've had is very, well, by risks, I mean innocent hand-holding and confession time. It's very cute, and I think that if you enjoy this type of stuff, then this would definitely be for you, because there's clearly proper story development here, as well as character interaction. They're all very strong in this manga, which is why I think a lot of people would like this. Going on to humor, it's more of like I said earlier, it's a lot focused on the reactions. The dialogue it's not too heavy here, but the humor does sometimes come from the dialogue as well, especially from the main guy protagonist. He's very funny. I like him a lot, and he's a fucking Chad. So I think that goes for most of the comedy and characters as well. Finally, the art. The art is something. It's not anything like crazy, but I think the way the artist draws emotions here is quite nice, and it's very satisfying to watch, because it clearly shows the type of archetype he's trying to go for, as well as, well, the cuteness of the character, let's just say for that. And yeah, I really enjoy the way characters are drawn here. This guy clearly knows how to draw blushes. Perfect. I would recommend this to anyone who enjoys manga or anime, to be honest. This is not really just a wholesome manga to read. It's actually more than that, but it does have wholesome elements to it, like uncensored hand holding. I would say it's not for everyone, though. It's not for everyone. The plot does fluctuate every here and there, and the filler episodes are, to some people, they might find that like unappealing. If you enjoy your romance comedies, this is definitely for you. I would say give it 3 chapters, because after the 3rd chapters, that really sets the pace of the story, and it goes from there. I really hope you enjoyed this video. That is all from this video. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one.